In this chapter, let's explore how to develop an algorithm from start to finish. To illustrate this process, let's use the example of a program that classifies images into one of two categories: muffins or chihuahuas. Developing an algorithm involves 6 stages: collecting your data, cleaning your data, exploring your data, modeling your data, evaluating your model, and finally, deploying it. Don't worry, we'll go through each step one by one. During the first step, you're going to collect a lot of data. In our case, it will consist of photos of muffins and chihuahuas. Our dataset now contains all these photos, and we're going to assign a tag to each one. This tag tells the algorithm whether the photo is of a muffin or a chihuahua. Now, it's time to clean our dataset. This means getting rid of all the inconsistencies in our data. For example, we need to make sure that our dataset contains only images of muffins or chihuahuas. Any other image needs to be removed. We also need good quality photos, and if they aren't, we'll need to correct or remove them. Once our dataset has been cleaned, we can move on to the exploration stage. This is essentially the process of uncovering the unique characteristics in our data. For example, we may ask, how many photos are there in total? Or, are there more photos of chihuahuas than of muffins? In practice, we use statistical operations to ask our database these very specific questions. This is what we call querying a database. Pretty powerful, right? Now that we know a little more about what our data looks like, we can choose the most appropriate algorithm for our problem. And this brings us to the modeling phase. We're going to dive deeper into this step in the next chapter, but for now, I want you to remember that in order to be robust, an algorithm needs to be trained with a lot of data. We call this training a model. Let's get stuck into that idea just a bit further. To train our model, we have to divide our photos into 2 groups: a training dataset and a test dataset. First, we'll train the model on the training dataset, allowing it to progressively adjust its parameters and get better and better at classifying the images. Then, we're going to give it the test dataset. Important to know, our model has never seen the photos in the test dataset. In fact, our goal is to see if it's capable of classifying these unseen photos correctly. This is what we call the evaluation stage. At this point, we may need to fine-tune the model a bit more, but once it's performing well, we can put it out into the real world. We have reached the deployment stage. For example, we could deploy our model to be used in a mobile application that allows users to identify muffins or chihuahuas in their own photos. Okay, we're probably not going to get rich with a muffin-chihuahua differentiator, but at least we can now identify the different steps involved in developing an algorithm. In the next chapter, we're going to take a deeper dive into how models learn by exploring a subdiscipline of AI called machine learning. See you there.